Oh, I apologize, Trish.
What are you doing there, Dougie? Did you forget that we were on here, buddy?
No, Trish, I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
I do actually.
Okay.
I try to look good for you and the audience, Trish, and I apologize. I think I've been slacking lately with the hair, so I wanted to
You,
put a little bit of beeswax lip balm on so I would look good for the show, the
you
Trish and Doug show.
you always look good, Douglas. I do not know why you would say such silly things.
Thank you so much, Trish. And how can I not acknowledge your
My
top?
fancy top.
Let's see. Is it
This is
is
called
that from the Van Halen collection?
this would be I hate you so much right I bought it to go to a tiki bar. I thought it looked a little tiki-ish.
It does.
And this is what happens when you run out of clothes and you've been locked out of your house now for going on 2.5 weeks.
Do you?
So,
I mean, yeah. So this is interesting. First of all, hey everybody, what's up? Thanks for
hey!
being here. The reseller tips, Trish and Doug show.
It's us.
So we're talking about organizing your inventory for faster sales,
Okay,
but we will get to that.
okay, because I have questions.
All right. So
Okay.
but tell us about your Odyssean journey.
Well, you come down in a hurricane. You can't get on the auto train, which no one believes me is even a real thing. You all think I made up the auto train. I can't get on the auto train, so we drive. Can't stay in my house because there's a water leak, and I haven't been in since. So it's been a long couple of weeks. So, we're going on. This is, I think, my 15th night in a hotel.
Wow, that's crazy.
I
But
know.
well, you're obviously a trooper. You're there. You're here. You're doing the show.
Yep,
We
no problem.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Um, do you want to? Why don't you greet the people here while
Hello,
I
people.
make sure the link is being, because I was hoping you would go on a little bit more with your story so I could make sure the link is shared out. But
Okay, you share the link. I can continue to talk. If there's one thing I can do pretty well is
thank you.
talk.
Thank you.
So
What I do like though is that you now travel from Boston down to Florida like a mafia boss. Like,
yeah,
I gotta get, the heat's too hot. I gotta get away for the weekend.
I'm out of here. Exactly. And I told this morning in Mastermind. I'm going to tell you guys this story. Some of you guys already heard this story, but if you weren't in Mastermind this morning, I went to a bar and it was a restaurant, but I sat at the bar because I was alone, right? And so I felt a little bit more comfortable sitting at the bar. And it was a crab place. I ate crab legs. Katie, if you're out there, I thought of you the whole time because they were really good. And I left my credit card at the bar. So I had to go back last night. Shame upon shame. I called, they have it. Thank you. So I walk in and I said, hi. She goes, hey. And I said, oh, I was here last night. I left my credit card at the bar. And she goes, I'm sorry, what? And I said, I left my credit card at the bar. And she goes, I don't know any of the words that are coming out of your mouth. Like, the bar that you sit at and you drink and you eat. And the girl next to her goes, she's saying bar. And the girl's like, oh, your credit card. I have it. And she opens the drawer and she goes, what's your name? I say, Patricia Glenn. She goes, I have it. And she hands it back. And then I went back to the bar and ate more crab legs. So that was my lovely story.
Well, I mean, the crab must be good there, but interesting.
So good, but they don't understand what the hell I'm saying. So I need you guys to at least know what I'm saying.
That's like real quick. So if you can't tell, I'm from New York. I lost my accent a long time ago, but my mom, especially, this was a bit back when we first moved to California. We moved, and she called and she called the pizza place, wanted a pizza. She goes, I'd like to order one pie for delivery. And the guy goes, we don't
You
serve
don't
pie.
survive. Your poor mother.
I know, she's
Seriously.
a lovely, poor mother for being my mother, I think.
Interpretation of
Thank
those.
you, Pam. Robin, what's up?
Hey, Robin.
Piece of scrap. Hello from Wyoming. You're still smiling. We try. We're
We try.
generally
We have fun.
fairly happy.
Hi,
Fairly happy.
Marianne.
Gina's here, the selling butterfly.
So,
Fleeting
but
around.
Dougie, you
Yes.
said to me, we're gonna do this. This is the topic. I said, okay, whatever you want to do. And the topic that you came up with is organize your inventory for faster sales. And so my
Yes.
serious question is, what the hell does that mean, dude? Like, what does it mean?
So here's what I think, and I think
Okay.
it's open to interpretation.
Okay.
But I think that the more organized you are, obviously we always say this, the more organized you are, frees you up for other things, and I think that leads to faster sales. Having an efficient process, having an efficient inventory system. Like we can't all be Crystal Mouse with her 2 minutes to list and all of that. Kathy Cox has shown us her palatial inventory system where she's got the different rooms in her house.
Yeah, she has them all in the rooms.
But it's like, yeah, so it's like the reselling butterfly, Gina. Thank you so much, Gina. But it's like whatever works for you. And we've talked about this before, but I think it's a good thing to always revisit. So we will do that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, if you have questions, tips, if you want to share your inventory system, go for it. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about some ways. Obviously, List Perfectly can help you because this is a List Perfectly, just a List Perfectly show, a List Perfectly live, and as well, the Trish and Doug show, T&D.
Absolutely, the T&D show.
Exactly.
So let me just say this. I agree with everything you just said. I think inventory management is very important. And I think Pam is exactly right. Most of us start one way and we graduate to something else, right? And I think when we first start, Kathy said this, I'm so glad I knew how to handle inventory when I started with selling online. Most people don't. So they'll have like a pile of t-shirts or they'll have a pile of pants or whatever. And, you know, you get to the point where you are spending so much time looking for the things you sold that it becomes difficult to continue. And so usually people graduate to some kind of different inventory system. And the sooner you can do that, the better off you'll be. The sooner that you can get yourself a better inventory system from the very beginning, because you'll be better off. I want to know how to print off different SKU labels with QR code on LP. Tabor, we should get Crystal to show us all. I do not use it. Do you use it, Doug?
No, not yet. I mean, my system is still pretty manageable. It's so basically right now it's a few different things. So, and I learned this kind of from Teresa Cox, and to me it's very basic. So I have see-through bins that I can see through the sides and everything, and then they're labeled. So if I mostly sell books, so I'll have like a book, and it'll be in bin A, B, C, D, E, whatever.
Yep.
And then I also have books on my shelf. So I have my shelves labeled. So some books may be shelves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I also sell my friend, I'm consigning, I guess you would say, some books to, this is very, very,
very highbrow there, Doug.
very, very high volume. No, so I'm consigning some stuff for my friend Philip. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, buddy. And so I have his stuff. His stuff is Philip Box 1, Philip Box 2, etc. And then I have just started managing my wife's stuff in List Perfectly. Just started that. So she'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say for chance you were looking for a particular kind of apron for the holidays. Hit me up.
If you need a certain apron with certain accoutrement.
Accoutrements, as they say. Ooh, this is good. Trish, I'm going to let you read this one.
After almost 2 years of Mastermind, I found something that works for me. I've taken tidbits from others and made them my own. I agree with Pam completely. I think that is, and then this is interesting too. I was talking about QR codes with Pam McAllister yesterday. I want to know how to use them too. Okay, so why don't we make a Doug and I will do another show. We'll do a reseller tip just on how to use the reseller, just how to use the inventory program within List Perfectly. We are not set up to do it right now, but we can do it next week or the week after and have that be just, we'll demo it and we'll talk about how to use it. And what's interesting to me is I don't use it either. And the reason I don't use it is because, well, I use part of it. I don't use the new sequential SKU that has come out. And so I don't use that because I don't SKU sequentially. I backfill my buckets so that my buckets are always full. So I'm not going on to the next, I'm not adding any buckets until it's absolutely necessary. So every time I sell something, I have an individual QR code, an individual SKU number that's on a piece of paper that's been laminated. And in the first two are the bucket or the code where it is. And then the last digits, usually between 01 and 99, that is the, sorry, my mother's calling me. That is the item number. And I individually SKU, and I think individually SKUing is important. I know that's kind of a divided topic. Some people don't individually SKU. I think it sets you up for success going forward later on. Teresa Cox does not individually SKU. I have other friends that don't individually SKU, but anybody who knows me, I say all the time, what happens if you get hit by a bus? And to me, I want somebody, if I get hit by a bus, I want to be able to come in my house and find that item. And so I have a little map that shows where everything is so that somebody can go in and find it very easily. And to me, that's important in the inventory system, is that you're not the only one who can pull your inventory. And for right now, most of you are like, I'm small. I'm the only one pulling the inventory. I'm not ready to hire somebody. Doug isn't ready to hire somebody or ask his wife to come in and pull his 2 books a day. I get it. But in 5 years down the road, maybe he is. Or next week, maybe he gets a really, really, really bad man cold and he won't get out of bed and he needs his wife to go find the books for him. And so if they were individually skewed, there's less error.
So SKU, SKU.
I don't know, Pam.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to this. I know that you can customize the QR code, but I don't know about the SKU part. So why don't we will do this. So we make a promise, Doug and I make a promise, I'm just promising for him, that we will do this within the next 2 weeks. And we'll have demos and we'll actually dive into it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that'll be fun. So we will do that. So let me put this out there and you can chime in as we go through. So I'm curious. So think, each of you that is watching, on a scale of 1 to 10, how organized do you think your inventory is right now? So just drop a number in there. We'll touch base on that. But Trish says this, and I've heard Trish say it, and a lot of sellers that I know that have been doing this for a long time, they say launch something from the start and stick with that system, because you quickly grow out of it. And I think there's some room for modification, but that's the advice I see a lot of the time is somebody will say, and Trish has said this, pick something and stick with it. And Trish is a big believer in the individual SKUs. I know that.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I think individual SKUs is important if you want to grow. I mean, I think right now I'm in about a 9, maybe a 9.5. Todd a 5, Marianne a 4. What we have
Todd's on a 5 today because he messed up the wheels in his rolling cart, so he's being rough on himself.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Marianne, why a 4? What are you doing? What are you having trouble with? What's holding you back?
Yeah, let us
Well,
know,
here's
Mary.
the thing. I think that process is important, right? How many times you touch an item, how many times you touch it, how many times you move it. I'm a very big believer in I am bringing it in the house. I am putting it into the pile where it needs to go to get photographed, right? So for me, that's all shirts in one pile, all female shirts in one pile, all male shirts in another pile, unisex t-shirts go in a different pile, pants, whatever. And then they're in IKEA bags. And once these IKEA bags are filled, then that whole thing will get photographed, right? So however many, 100 shirts, 200 shirts, whatever I have, those would all get photographed at the same time. When they're photographed, they get individually skewed at that point, folded and put into a bag. And then they go back into that same IKEA bag. And then somebody goes and puts them away in inventory. I say someone because it's usually not me. It's usually my husband or my daughter. Now, specifically, only my daughter. But that way, I'm touching it once to bring it in the house, once to separate it, once to photograph it, once to put it away. So 4 times. And before I started thinking about being very process minded, I would touch inventory 20 times. You'd
Yeah.
move it from here to there. You would leave it in the car. You would do stuff with it. You would look at it and think, how many of you guys go through your inventory pile to figure out what you want to list? I
Yeah.
never do that anymore. That's a no-go. You don't think about it. Just put it in the pile to get listed because it all needs to get listed. So going out, the people that like cherry pick the best stuff to put it in and then get it into the inventory system, I think it's a waste of time. I also think, are you putting the stuff away immediately? Does it hang around? Are you searching for stuff that is sold that hasn't even been put away yet? If you are, you're not putting it away fast enough.
Yeah, that's the thing. And here's, I mean, this is an early on pro tip, and we're going to get into it because organizing too is, I think, with inventory, it's more than just putting it somewhere and putting it away and skewing it. It's tracking it like somehow online, when it's sold, where it is. But I think so. Two quick things. Super pro tip that I learned early on too is a lot of people will put like minded stuff together. A tip that I've seen a lot, and I do believe Trish agrees with this, is mix up the stuff. Like, smaller stuff or blah, blah, blah. Don't have like all black Duran Duran t-shirts because then you have to go through and you mix it up. I've got like, I don't have one right here, but I acquired like 10 floral print short sleeve shirts, and they're of 2 or 3 styles but different sizes. So I've got each of those in a different bin. So when I need to grab it, I just go open the bin and just grab it and double
So
check.
when you don't individual skew, you're exactly right, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not individually skewing, making sure you're not putting like items together is very important. And that would be like a key of success to Teresa's method, right? Because she doesn't want to do what you're doing, is like go in and
Yeah.
you see 5 Duran Duran black t-shirts, then you're looking very difficult to make sure you have the right one. What if you send the wrong size? What if you send the wrong t-shirt? So if you are not going to individual skew, absolutely do what Doug is saying and don't put like items together. If you're individually skewing, do all the Duran Duran t-shirts at once and make it
That's
easier
right.
on yourself. Right.
Let me tell you this, and then I'm going to get to another point. So, obviously, I'm a big Duran Duran fan. I acquired a couple of books that I used to have. I got them back. I got their bass player is this guy John Taylor. He wrote a great autobiography, so I picked that up. They're guitar players, and then another Duran Duran book I used to have. So I will have another complete collection. And then Trish, don't freak out, but the book showed up. I saw like a place marker in there. I opened it up in the middle, and guess what it was?
What?
A Duran Duran
Ticket?
concert ticket stub.
How excited were you?
I was like, this is pretty cool. This is a cool little thing. But then the other point I wanted to make too is that have Trish says have a system, and I think it's important to have that system and have kind of an efficient workspace. So believe it or not, I have I have a stand-up desk that's got a lot of room. I have a light box over here that I don't have to use as much anymore, but I've got a table beside me. And so I do have a process. So when I list for a hemplo, I will take pictures. Let's say it's this giant art book that's about 50 pounds. So I can put it here, take the picture on LP mobile. I have I go back and forth between mobile, and I love that mobile saves. So you open it up in desktop, it's all right there. I take my pictures, I make some notes on a little pad like this, and I usually go in batches of 5, and I will do that. And but I have the box here, and then like Trish had said, do your stuff, do put it in the box, put it away. And so right now I'm working on fill up box 1, which is some big art books and things like that. But let's do, hang on one sec, Trish.
I just want to say, yeah, I'm so sorry.
Marianne, welcome back. We're so sorry to hear that. Just take your time.
Yeah. Stay at a 4 for as long as you need.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
But we're here. I mean, we're here for you if you need advice or tips or anything like that.
I would like to say that the way that Todd does his inventory makes me get a little, I feel like I can feel my neck. Like, how long does it take you to put stuff away, dude? Do you have to go in and find where the new t-shirt has to go by content?
Mr. I'm a 4 organized.
That makes me like, LP Mobile is just our website, you use on your, it's mobilely responsive. So you can just open up your browser and go to List Perfectly, and you can take your pictures and stuff right in there, Gina. Gina, do you not use it? Oh, I think she's being funny because then she said LP ?
Okay. But so LP is List Perfectly. We do that. We're like the military. And so basically List Perfectly, for those of you that might not know, List Perfectly is a desktop application that is mobile friendly. So we have a mobile responsive website. And the reason for that is what we just talked about. So it's instantaneous. You start a listing, you give it a second or two. You start a listing on your mobile device, and it will update for you because it's the same environment. An app is a different environment than a website. So there may be some different, like with eBay. Look at eBay. eBay is a great example. The eBay app sometimes has stuff that the desktop version doesn't have, and vice versa, because they're 2 different development environments.
Right.
And yes, I talk with my hands, but so basically what happens is you can open it on your phone. And what a lot of people do, what I do, what I've always done, is I start my drafts on my phone, especially now with Express Lister and Listing Assistant. I do the basics. I'll take the pictures, and then I will run Listing Assistant and get the listing in there, and then open it up, remove the backgrounds, and then go through, do shipping, do weight, and all that, and then I list it. It's a pretty quick process.
So I just want to say, Kathy, yeah, that's what I was going to write. Each clothing item in my inventory has an individual SKU number. We, meaning her and her high school helper, photo the inventory number with the item at the beginning and the end of the photo process. So I do that also. That's exactly, I don't do it twice. I just do it at the end. But I do the exact same thing. And I also, depending, now that I'm charging for shipping, for years and years, I did free shipping, so it didn't matter. But now that I'm charging for shipping, I do sometimes take a picture of it on the scale also for the weight. So I find that having the photo of the SKU really helps, because every once in a while you'll forget to put it in the SKU number, or you'll invert a number, or you'll do something stupid and it's not there, and you can always go into the photographs and find it. So I find that to be very helpful, Kathy. I agree with you completely. The next time she wrote, my inventory system is a 10. I had to do a 9 because I've run out of space, and I'm working on that now. Numbers are still increasing. We just need shelves to put them on. Yeah, it is. It's hard, especially when it's a volume game. It's hard, and you get to the point where you're always struggling for space. That is why I really like to backfill my buckets so that nothing is ever going down. I'm never looking to see where I can put stuff. And if I run out of the SKUs that I reuse, then I know I need to make a new bucket. But as long as I have those, I can just keep going. Um, I have a photographer that I'm paying, so I list whatever she takes photos of, then I can't cherry pick. Right, good idea, Pam. I place a mixture of items in each bin after getting them home and inspecting. Um, I started photographing the individual SKU with the item, and it saved me so much time from searching for bins. Yep, it's so much helpful. It really is. Um, the buckets, and I do what Doug does. I use clear buckets, most of them. I would say like 90% of my inventory is in clear buckets. And I like it because if I sold like a red top, sometimes you can just look on the outside and reach in and grab. I mean, how many red tops are going to be in that bucket, right? Sometimes you pull it out, it's not. So then you have to pull the whole bucket out and look. It doesn't really work on black items most of the time because there's a lot of black in there, but something floral or checkered or whatever, sometimes you can just reach right in and get it. You don't even have to spend much time pulling the inventory.
Yeah, yeah. I'm struggling in my brain. I think we should do a show coming up on charging shipping versus free shipping.
Sure.
Because I mean, my stuff is pretty low, I don't not low volume, but low margin usually. But I
Okay.
sell books, so my shipping's usually pretty affordable.
Okay.
So
Because you're using media mail.
yeah,
Yeah.
using media mail. And I purposely, I mean, if you looked at my stuff right now, a lot of people would be like, your stuff is priced too high. It's purposely that high because then I start moving it down. And sometimes I sell stuff at the higher prices
All
because
right.
I
So
have
how
some
often,
wacky books.
okay, this is not what we're talking about, but I'm just wondering, and then we'll not talk about this, but so you have like a tiered system where you start for like so many days, then you go down so much?
Kind of.
Okay. And what kind of like, how long do you plan on holding on to a book before you move it down?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to find time for that with my full-time job, Trish.
Sorry, Doug. I'm sorry. I forgot you had a full-time job.
But I go
Um,
through, I mean, I promo, I do offers and I do a lot on Mercari, but I've got a whole list of stuff I want to do and just get um, more organized with it. Casey Rockstar Flipper did a really great video on updating your eBay listings, I think last week.
yeah, I
And
haven't watched it yet. It's on my playlist to watch.
yeah, I thought it was good. He gave some interesting tips. And, obviously, he's like, lower your prices a little bit, look at your titles. And then he's like, fill out more item specifics. And it kind of makes sense because if you look in eBay on those item specifics, you'll see the volume of search based on that thing. So people will search for a certain type of book or a certain edition of
Yeah,
a book.
absolutely. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and one of
So,
the things I love too is he said, always put something in the condition field and he said a lot of people look at that and it can sway them. I thought that was an interesting tip.
huh.
Yeah,
I have never not filled out a condition field.
interesting.
Um,
Casey Rockstar Flipper.
yeah, she knows now.
I think Gina's probably laughing at us right now.
Tina is totally laughing at you, not us, you. All right,
Gina
so
would
let me
never
tell you
laugh
this.
at me.
One of the important things about having a good inventory system is that you do not have to cancel a sale. Canceling a sale is just about the worst thing you can do on eBay. Um, doesn't matter quite as much on Posh. I do not know about like Depop or one of those. I do not know what kind of trouble you would get with that. But eBay, that's one of the worst things you can do on eBay. So you want to avoid that at all costs. And so having a good inventory system really, because the worst thing is you can't find it, you cancel it, and then 3 days later you magically find it, which is, of course, what happens. So you do not want to cancel a sale no matter what. Kathy wrote, if it's new with tags and no flaws, I don't fill in the condition field. I would say brand new with tags in the condition field, even though it's redundant. I don't leave those empty.
Yeah, it's one of those things. that, I mean, and I'm always like, do what works, do what works for you. And it's just something I'm trying. I'm always trying a bunch of different wacky things. So
Wacky things.
wacky things. So this is we're not going to show the video, but this is the video. I think there's some great tips in there. You know, love him, hate him. He's Rockstar Flipper. Every once in a while, there's a gem. No, he's a buddy. He's a friend. He's a friend of the show, Trish.
He's a friend of the show.
But
that was funny.
Thank you. Interesting thing, though, I wanted to say, when I first started selling, I mean, I didn't have a ton of stuff, but I had kind of in my office, I had stacks of stuff.
Yeah.
And I had a spreadsheet, and I would track my sales and manage, in quotation marks, manage my inventory there. So I'd have like an active tab, a sold tab, blah, blah, blah. And regularly I'd be like, I thought I sold that, or I didn't know I sold that, or I can't find that, or where is this? Where is that? And obviously, segueing into List Perfectly, it really helps, because I still talk to people, still hear from people that still use spreadsheets. And there was somewhere a lady was telling me that she has a handwritten, like, loose leaf book she uses to track her stuff by paper. Wow.
That's nuts. It was,
Yeah.
and it's just like, to me, listen, I know we all do things differently. Like, we all do. And for me, I don't worry about cost on every item. I go over it for the year, what my cost is for an item. Really by quarter. So, I don't get hung up on, like, I know there are people who spend and they put in the SKU field and they'll put things in there that are different, or in the notes fields, and they'll be like cost of goods, $5 or whatever. And so the things that are important to you in your business, that's what you need to figure out. And if you're somebody who having the cost of good per item really matters, putting it in the SKU field can be one way that you can keep track of it easily. And then, of course, in List Perfectly, we have the ability to put that in. But it's interesting to me how we all can do the same thing, but do it so very differently.
Yeah.
And inventory systems are one of those. If I had all of my, if I could just go like this and have a warehouse, I would do a sequential number that you could just, all on hangers that you could just push and keep the listings flowing. But I don't, and space is a premium. And so for me to be able to, at one point I had about 12,000 items all in my house. And to be able to keep that kind of volume in my house, I needed to make sure that everything was as tight as possible, that no space was wasted. So, Kathy was talking about needing new shelves. I would use certain shelves, but if I got to the end of a room and there was a space, I would use banker boxes. I would go and buy the heaviest duty banker boxes, and I would have just scarves in there or just undies in there, small things. So using your space to its full potential. And also, doubling up. I have shelves back to back, and then I also have shelves that I have to go down and be able to take a bucket out to be able to look at it, because I could get, more shelves in the room. And then I also have things on wheels. I have shelves on wheels, and so they're in front of the other shelves, and I just move them out. Am I boring
Sorry,
you?
Trish, I started to doze off.
Am I boring you?
No, of course not.
Move the shelves out of the way so that you can have more space.
Okay.
So able, really look at it and try to maximize the space you have, because not going off site, not having to go off site, not having to pay somewhere else to have your inventory, or if you're already paying, not having to go up to the next size would be, exactly, Kathy. That would be great. With one of those things that would just come down and bring you your stuff. Yeah. And I'm sorry I bored you, Doug. That was rude.
I wouldn't say bored, but kind of.
You're the one who picked inventory for a freaking topic, buddy.
I'm just trying to help the listeners, the watchers, Trish. But ladies and gentlemen, let me show you something if you're not familiar with this, because I literally just learned this myself because I multitask, Trish, which is very inefficient. But watch this. Do 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 do
The
do
girlfriend
do
Anita.
do. The girl from Ipanema, cinch sack backpack with dandelion. I go into the listing. Da da da. I go into the listing. Inventory label. Bam. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Bam, we see nothing, buddy.
Oh, hang on one sec. I got excited. It opens in a
Yeah,
new tab.
I'm just saying you're mean to
So
me,
see
and then
that?
I
Cinch
see it.
sack backpack with dandelion. And then
And
that
Mer
is, and so basically that's the start of my SKU. So if I do
MER is the start of your SKU.
Mare, yeah, that's my wife, short for my wife's name. So let me see. Let's do a better example, ladies and gentlemen. Blah 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 blah. Like here, if I go to let's go here, and we've got London, The Secrets in the Splendor by
We
Nick
can't
Yap.
see anything other than the you really are falling down on this.
Oh, it's because I can't see. Oh, well, I see what you're saying. So, okay, here's the next book, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. And then I'm going to hit inventory label. And here we go. And it gives you the option to print. But then we've got London, The Secrets and the Splendor by Nick Yap and River Tennyson. Paperback book. Philip Box One. Scannable QR code, ladies and
All right,
gentlemen.
what's great about that scannable QR code is that it brings up your listing inside this perfectly. So if you're somebody who is using Pro Plus and you have, or Pro, and you have sales detection on, you can then, Crystal Mouse, who's somebody who uses the system, she then uses that to make sure it's taken down off of all of the platforms. She uses it as a checks and balances system. So, I mean, that's great.
There you go. And now I feel badly, Trish. You weren't boring me. I was just teasing you.
It's fine. I'll just remember.
Rolling racks. I know you will. Rolling racks are great. You know what? I'll just leave. Goodbye.
You left us. Great. Yeah, the rolling racks. And the other thing that you guys can use if you don't want to buy rolling racks because they're expensive, you can buy appliance like appliance movers. They're made for appliances, so they hold a lot of weight. And it's so like you can roll your washing machine in and out or your dryer in and out. And I
Okay.
leave like 5 or 6 totes on those, and they move great. They glide well. They're not
Oh,
that
I get it. Yeah.
expensive. Yeah. So you can look into those also, so that you can also look for things that, are not traditional racks. Yeah, furniture dolly would work also too, Todd. And they have those. Anyone who has Harbor Freight near them, and you guys know what I'm talking about, Harbor Freight. They had them the other day here in Florida, so I know they have them in Boston too for $12, and you could probably get 3 or 4 totes on one.
And it's a furniture mover?
It's a furniture dolly. It's just, it's made out of wood, and it's got 4 wheels on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know what that is. Yeah.
Oh, Kim knows what Harbor Freight is. Thank you, Kim. So let's talk about tools. So for me, and when I mean tools, yeah, one of those, exactly.
See, I'm trying to make up for losing track of my tabs earlier, so I'm gonna...
But those are great, and they're only 17 or 18 bucks. I mean, and it's, the other ones were from Amazon, the ones that I used for that were appliance movers, but same thing, and then you just want to make sure you're buying buckets that will fit the bottom so they're not tipping. But if you get some good sturdy buckets with some good tops, you can do 3 or 4 high.
Yeah, no, that's so, and that's the thing too, is I like the stackable bins. I kind of wish I had gone with, because they've got the tops. I kind of wish I might have gone with drawers that would open, but those can only also stack so high. So I don't know.
Drawers, I think, are tough. Well, depending on what you're selling, I think drawers are tough. But um, I mean, and I mean this when I said this, you need to figure out what works best in the space you're in, right?
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And you want to maximize the space that you have because you don't want to have to get more space. It's just too expensive. And the other thing is, I go, excuse me, all the way up to the ceiling and I use a step ladder. So the top bucket, I can't pull that down alone without a step ladder. And then there are some spaces that I have something even higher than that. And in those, they're like specialty buckets. I have them in there, things that don't sell very often, winter coats, things that are bigger, but they're up there, they're perfectly protected, and then I know where they are. So utilize the space that you have and use the vertical space. And then
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I knew a lady that had very short arms and she couldn't reach stuff on her own. So I had to help her like reach boxes that were maybe stacked up,
Yeah.
things like that. Maybe a step ladder, maybe some phone books.
A step ladder probably would have been a good solution.
That's true.
You guys, Doug is killing me today. I just want you to know.
I love the inside jokes.
Oh, Douglas.
So let's talk though about so we've mostly talked about physical inventory. Let's talk a little bit about tracking it and keeping your online system, whatever it could be. If spreadsheets work for you, obviously, if you're a List Perfectly user, you can use List Perfectly. I know big sellers that use List Perfectly just for inventory tracking, but it's important as well to keep that stuff synced up. And obviously, the SKU system helps. But let's talk about that for a little bit, Trish.
So for me, Kathy pointed this out earlier, that List Perfectly, when you print out for the inventory, it goes by, it's alphanumeric. So you get everything like that's in the A bucket first, everything that's in the B, whatever. But what I have liked about my own system is that there's a finite amount of numbers. So like A, B, 1 through 60. So if I go in and I want to do physical inventory and I go in and there's some kind of glitch in the matrix and I can look up, I think it sold or it didn't sell. I can look for the positive or the negative, right? Meaning I can look for the items that are in the bucket, but then I can also search the items that are not in the bucket, like AB6. If AB6 didn't show up in my inventory, I could look it up and figure it out. And so having a finite number, it gives you the ability to do a better inventory, I think. And with LP SKU system, they'll do the same thing because it will tell you you've used like 1 through 500, and then you'll be able to figure out the negative also. So being able to do a true inventory, and a lot of people don't do this. And I think everyone should, just like a store, do it, once a year. Really see if you still have these things.
Yeah, sync that stuff up, go out, because even no matter how well you track it or think you track it, every once in a while something slips through the cracks.
Absolutely. And eBay, whom I love, they are famous for dropping stuff off of their, they have this black hole where stuff goes. And what's great about LP is you can run Issue Finder and you can see if you have something that's not hooked up anymore to a listing. And so that is also very helpful in the inventory way. But making sure being able to find stuff is the number one priority.
There you go. Yeah. And then
I've never tracked it manually, my inventory, really.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think about it. I mean, obviously with List Perfectly, but if I didn't have List Perfectly, I don't know. I would probably use a Google Sheet. I mean, that's what I used technically. It was a Google Sheet, which is basically an online Excel spreadsheet with different tabs. and then you just have to remember to move stuff around on that sheet to the
The
different tabs.
only thing that I think that kind of inventory is good for is if you have somebody else's items. So if you're somebody who's doing consignment, then
Yeah,
you need to have very specific. But in general, if I'm just buying the stuff, I have all my receipts, this is how much I spent in a year, right, on the items. I don't know if I need to track everyone individually. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who disagree. But I think for me, for used clothing, I'm kind of lumping it all in the same thing. I don't need to individually track it like that.
yeah, yeah. That's understandable. I had Mercari's got that bulk feature or
Yeah.
the bulk buy thing, and that kind of messed me up a couple weeks ago. Somebody bought 5 books, and I think what I did. Oh, I know what happened. Somebody bought 5 books, and I took care of it, and then I delisted everything from Mercari and then relisted it. But somehow I relisted those books, and I was like, I thought I sold that one.
And so did you just happen to notice?
I did happen to notice. And it's because, Trish, my mind is sharp like a cat like ninja.
When I think of you, my friend, I think cat-like ninja. That's
Thank you.
exactly what I think of you.
Everybody.
Kathy just wrote, when first starting out, I think individually tracking, it helps you know if you're making good purchases. Profit is made on the purchase. I agree with that. All of your money is made on the buy. And so I think Kathy has an absolutely valid point. When you first start out, I think it probably is very important to know. The longer you're in this, probably not. And it also depends on how you buy. I buy in bulk. I buy for as low as possible. And so if I keep my stuff very low, it really doesn't matter.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
Kathy, I agree with you. And I also agree. I also think it does depend on what you're selling. Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I definitely like the idea of regularly checking on your stuff, just going through, even if you spot check it, just take a bin and spot check it, or take some stuff and spot check it.
One, I think that's a good idea, especially if you don't want to do inventory once a year. Maybe do so many bins a month and just keep that's part of your routine. I'm going to spot check so many bins every month. I do think keeping your listings synchronized and making sure that you're always up to date, that your catalog is always in the best health it can be. I mean, when I say that, we're talking within List Perfectly. Keeping your catalog in the healthiest place that it can be, it then can absorb when things go wrong because things happen everywhere, right? So, and I feel the same way about like your eBay account, like keeping your eBay account as healthy as possible too. So both of those things I think are very important.
Yeah, and like Trish said, use those tools, do the issue finder, see what's up. That'll go through and look for stuff
Link's
for
my
you.
favorite.
Link, yeah. Tell us about Link. Why is it your favorite?
Link's my favorite because I have a big catalog and sometimes things happen and I love to be able to just hit that and it goes back and it's all synchronized again. Link, I just think for me solved a lot of issues. So I love Link.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm going to share a quick link here. A
Oh
link
Lord.
here to info on the link
The,
feature.
the puns are among us now.
That's right. I don't mean to punish you. Okay.
But I do think, keeping your catalog healthy, it will help you with many things. One of them is your inventory.
But yeah, I think though, like you were saying, that link feature is something that a lot of people don't know about. It's pretty cool. No more duplicates, manage like a pro, seamless synchronization. So go ahead and check this out on our wonderful List Perfectly Help Center platform and learn all about the link feature. What's up, Garden Resale Thrifts? Nice to see you.
Hey, Laura. I do think that, inventory, there are certain things that are fundamental to being a reseller. And one of them that I'm not sure that we put enough emphasis is this: being able to know where your items are and being able to ship them out without any problem. Because especially now when it takes so long to do these things and you need
Yeah.
to get so much done every day, wasting your time running around trying to find something you sold is the worst. And so being able to not put yourself in that position is very, very helpful. And I would suggest, um, that it may be, it's as important as listing or buying. You know what I mean?
There you
Those
go.
three
Yeah.
things.
Well, and that's the thing too, is he said, don't get picky, list your stuff. It cannot sell if it's not listed. Sellers list and listers sell.
But sellers list. But I do think Todd is right. It's a huge frustration, especially when you don't have a really good system yet. And taking the time to get it is annoying when you just want to list more. That is why if you start it from the beginning, you're better off. But we all have morphed. Everybody I've ever known has changed it at some point. So sorry, Todd. It's so annoying for you.
Um, Trish, I'm going to pause for a brief commercial break. I'm very excited to share the fact that Trish and I yesterday. So, if you're a Poshmark seller, you may be familiar with what went down over the last couple of weeks. So, basically, they changed their seller fees, how that all worked, and then basically it was pretty controversial. Then they rolled it back. So Trish and I recorded a little discussion for the podcast earlier this week where we talk about the original fee change. We talk about the rollback. We talk about current and future ramifications. And so, what do you think of that episode, Trish?
It was fun. I mean, it's interesting to me. I think it must have been a much bigger deal than they're letting on to have rolled it back so fast and with such,
Yeah,
fervor.
yeah,
I really think buyers hated it. I think it was a buyer issue, not a seller issue. I
yeah,
think buyers stopped using it, and so they're trying to regain their market share. I think, as sellers, we talked about it this morning. It's their sandbox, and if we want to play in it, we got to do it by their rules. And
yeah,
so I just think that it had to have been buyers. So it was interesting. The one thing we didn't talk about it on that episode, Doug, was they are having some kind of rebate, which I read about yesterday. Does anyone know anything about that? You can apply for the rebate.
yeah. If you know something about that, post it in, or we'll get the info out. I can try and look for it, but there is some talk of that. But just to recap a bit, we talked about the importance of inventory organization. We talked about some best practices. We shared some experiences. We cracked some jokes. We talked about how List Perfectly helps, optimizing for multi-platform selling. Um, and it's not just for new sellers. It's if you're scaling up,
Absolutely.
too, if you want to grow. But definitely take a look at your inventory. Um, Try some new strategies. Uh,
Well, and I also think what we did learn is that we were going to do a show basically on the inventory system within List Perfectly, that people want to know exactly how it works and how you do it. So we will do that. Now that we know you guys are interested in that and you want to see it in action. Here's the other thing. Doug and I are open to doing anything that you guys want. Gina, I love that you give him crap. It makes me so happy. But we're open to doing anything you guys want within reason. So if there's something you'd like to see or something you'd like to hear us talk about or somebody you'd like us to try to get on as a guest, please let us know. We would love to talk about it.
yeah, and I think we're gonna. I mean, you may see some changes to reseller tips. I think we have talked about getting some guests on here, so we might start doing that too. But just trying to cover some of these topics that would be hopefully useful to you. And I think a lot of them, it's good to touch base on. I'm writing a note.
You're the best, Doug. I should be
So
nicer to you.
I know, Trish. I agree. No, I'm kidding. You're very nice. She's a very nice lady. She's a saint.
Yeah. Saint Trish. No, said no one ever.
Patron
Um,
saint of pocketbooks and bars.
that was good. I'll
Somebody
take
has
that.
to do it.
That was
What's
good.
your medallion?
I'll take that one.
Oh, you know
Um,
what you could be the patron saint of is photographs. Because if
oh,
you haven't heard this, ladies and gentlemen, Trish does not take a bad photograph. Everybody can be. We've got many pictures together over the years. Sometimes I'm like, and she's always like,
that is, it's not true, you guys. It is
majestic
not.
hair.
I do take a lot of selfies and a lot of, I gotta get away from it though. For years, I only took selfies, and people be like, "You want me to take your photo?" I'm like, "Oh no, we're good." Yeah, I gotta stop doing that.
You're like, no, I've got it. Thank you so much.
It sounds like that is for the lower priced items. PM used to have a flat $295 for. Oh, okay. I'll look into it, Pam. I don't know what it was. I just saw it tonight, and I didn't know if anyone knew. I'll have to go look.
All right.
Hey, Doug, as always, it was very fun hanging out with you. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. You know, reseller tips here is weekly. Don't forget the podcast. Don't forget the blog. We also, Trish, you're doing something on Friday
Yeah,
with Clara, and
I
it's
am with Clara.
so it's going to be on sustainability and does sustainable selling equal profits?
And I'm gonna, there's a woman, Shar, who comes to the mastermind in the morning. I'm gonna ask her to come specifically because bye, Pam, because I think she takes this to heart. She reuses boxes, she does lots of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I am not that girl. So it'll be an interesting debate.
Yeah, it will be interesting, and we're gonna put a little interesting twist on it. So I think I was gonna tease it, but I think you should show up Friday to see what we're gonna do, and it will be a hoot,
It will be
and
a hoot.
obviously a great timely topic as well. But all right, well, thank you, Trish. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
We
everybody.
will. Yeah, thanks. We will see you next time. Stay out of trouble. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.